what's so wonderful and mysterious about the quantum physics and quantum mechanics is that when we look to see what are these building blocks of matter, we find that at the very center of the very smallest, inseparable, indivisible particle, which would be like an electron, if you can't get any smaller than that, then that qualifies as a quantum particle. Those little electrons can actually be observed to be in one place, and then it's like they vanish. They can change an energy level and show up instantly somewhere else. And they do other things also. They can be connected with one another, entangled, and when one is affected and its spin is up and the other one's spin is down, if you observe one, as soon as you make an observation on one that's entangled with another, they both flip at the same time. They're showing entanglements that are holding together at greater and greater distances. So we can tell, obviously, throughout the universe, there can be an entanglement with one particle right here and another particle in an entirely different galaxy, great distances away. So there seems to be no limitation on the distance. Consciousness is more than the neurons. So when we try to do the neuron mapping like they're doing, and they can map the brain and the networks, and then supposedly we should know everything, but we don't. It's more like seeing that you can see the roads, but you don't know the traffic patterns, and you don't understand why things are happening the way they do. And memories are not stored in a place. It's not like, oh, there's the neuron that stored that memory. They move around. So when we look at the way the brain functions, it's very disappointing in terms of finding a way to lock consciousness into matter. That has not succeeded. The reason science cannot prove that consciousness is produced by the brain is what we don't know how to measure consciousness. And science can only handle what it can predict. It can only, which means you have to be able to measure something. You have to be able to tell if it's there, if it's changing, if it's gone. And if you can't do that, we still can't do that with consciousness. We can look at brainwave states, we can measure some things, but it doesn't really get to the heart of the issue. And when it comes to neuroscience, what scientists are noticing, strangely, gets back to that question of time, because we're noticing sometimes that we've made a decision before we've even felt the input to our senses, which seems impossible. Another good one that's easy to do is if you're starting to catch a cold, and you can tell yourself, I can't get sick today. And I think we've all had that experience where it's like, no, this is not happening. I have to stay well today. And then you notice, after I thought that, I felt fine. A lot of people have that experience. I'm still gathering information, but it's possible that what we're looking at is something that's similar to a holographic multiverse. So there's a holographic component where everything is connected and it's one, like the pages in a book. But there are all these, each page might signify another parallel reality, which could be side by side by side, and sometimes you can jump from one page to another. There are an infinity of possibilities that at every moment we make a choice, we're looking at that and feeling that. And it matches the fact that we live in such a fine-tuned universe right now, which is ridiculously unlikely. So some people say this is proof that God exists, and I tend to think so too. The most important thing right now for us as humans to deal with all the problems on the planet and to help each other is to recognize the level of expansiveness that we can attain and the way that we can play with these different realities. And we think we're in this little world, and to make a quantum jump, we need to step back. You need to recognize that you are consciousness and that you're observing all this. You have feelings, you have thoughts, but you're not your thoughts and you're not your feelings. So it's becoming mindful and then becoming energized. And then the third step is exactly that. It's just choose where you want to go next. And even if you're skeptical, you can still get this to work. So next time you're in a difficult situation, maybe the car is out of gas, or you're stranded, or you have no money, or you lost your purse, whatever happened, some sort of bad news, just take a moment, relax, meditate, center yourself, breathe, and then just imagine, well, how good could this get? And imagine it just like it's a dream, like you're going into that daydream and you're going to walk into that reality. We don't live in a linear timeline at all. I think that is one of the biggest things for people to realize, is that you're able to see what you might call a miracle. In a moment, anything could happen, and to recognize that there's always a possibility for phenomenal transformation.